Did you
Okay,
sign?
we're going. Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're excited tonight because I'm sure you heard those little rumors out there that we have a new trip that we're just launching. And so it's so exciting to see how many, I would love, just out of curiosity, if you've won a trip sometime with Arbonne, I would love to have you raise your hand right now. Awesome. That's great. That is awesome. Okay, that's fun, fun, fun. So that's what we're going to be focusing on tonight. So we've asked some of our people who've won it in the last couple of years to come on and share with you tonight how they did it. You know, what is the secret? I know that my children expected a trip every year to Hawaii, and they were very spoiled children because I somehow did that for them. And I just thought every family just went to Hawaii every year. And so that was a really fun thing. You know, it was weird. I was sharing with the group that I just got off, the promoting to district manager. There's something interesting though. When you try to win the trip, but you're winning it for somebody else, it's amazing how I found it easier to really go for it if I thought I was really winning it because I wanted my husband to be able to go on a trip or take my children with me. And so it was a really interesting, I found that an interesting dynamic of how that made me much more bold because I was and courageous because I was doing it for someone else. So I'm going to turn the time over to Barb, and she is going to introduce her VP, who's going to talk about it tonight. And then she's going to turn it over to Phoebe, who's going to introduce her VPs. So that we're so excited. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And can't wait to see who's going to be on that trip. So Miss Barb, take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Dina. I mean, one of the things that I found was that when I told my kids that I was going to earn this cruise and take them all on a vacation, they said, well, what do you have to do? I said, I have to talk to people about Arbonne and I have to meet with people. And they said, well, go call someone, we'll do the dishes. And all of a sudden there was a lot more buy-in within my household on my being busy doing things with Arbonne. And I did take them on that trip. And when I got off the boat, it was over month end. At the end of October, I was $2,000 away from going into region qual. And I went into region qualification that November, and I finished by the time my family was ready to leave on a ski trip on the 18th of December. So it just propelled me, it gave me the courage to pick up the phone. So I am now going to pass the baton over to Katie Charles, who is a new regional vice president in Julianne Whitney's organization, and she has earned the last 2 trips. And so Katie, if you would take it away, I can't wait to hear what you have to share.
Awesome. It's so true. Actually, Atlantis was the trip last year, as many of you know, and I told my oldest son, Devin, who's just about to turn 7, that we were going to go on this trip, and he had pictures and videos, and this was going to be his first time on an airplane. He was all ready to go on the big water slide. Like, we got really, really detailed for him. And once you do that, I couldn't imagine ever looking him in the eye and saying, sorry, you know, I tried, but I didn't earn it. I had my tracker printed and he colored it in, and we have that same tracker available now. So I'm sure it can be posted in the Trendsetters page if it isn't there already. But I mean, definitely tell whoever it is that you're bringing, and figure out, you know, the vision of exactly what that's going to look like would be, I guess, one of my first tips, because you're not going to want to look at that person after and say, okay, well, actually, I tried, but, you know, I didn't earn it. Because when you're tracking it too, that creates a whole new level of accountability. So having that tracker in front of you, and especially if it's a little person, like they're coming up to see, is there anything new to color yet? Like next day, he's like, can I color another leaf yet? It's like, oh my gosh, I'm working on it. Okay, I gotta get going here. So, so he was, of course, over the moon to find out that Atlantis was the trip this year. And yeah, so it's in the bag. It has to happen. So definitely, if you haven't figured out who you're bringing, that's one of the first things that you want to do. I wrote down some notes here, so I'm going to try to talk for maybe 8 minutes or so, I think is what I should do, Barb. Should I mention a disclaimer? This trip is not typical, but I will say that if you commit to doing this trip and you do the work, you can do it. And if you want to see, you know, averages of the amount of consultants who've been on the trip compared to who've registered, you can visit earnings.arbonne.com. I guess the first thing that I'll say that you want to do if you want to go on this trip is you need to decide, which I'm sure we've all heard before, but I have all my notebooks from every year AIT came out. And although I've earned the past 2 trips, I've went for AIT 3 years previous to that. And I have my notebook from that year, and I wrote out the trip, and I wrote out how many promotions I needed, and I wrote out how much QV I needed. And it's really interesting to see the difference between my notebook the past 2 years and my notebook the 3 years before that. And I did share with our nation that the way that I used to go for AIT is that I would figure out the volume and I would divide it by 6, and I would focus on that because I thought that was the hardest part. And I would kind of hope and pray and wish that along the way of making sales that I would promote people. And a lot of times if I had maybe people who had an Arbonne business who were wanting to get to the next level, I would write their names down and I would think, okay, if I have 3 people that want to promote to district and they do it and I sell a whole bunch of product, then I'm gonna hopefully do it. So that was my old way of doing it, and I don't recommend doing that. What I actually do now is I get a rough idea of the volume that I need in my central district. I divide it by 7 because, as we know, December is doubled. And so then I break that down into a daily QV goal that I have, which really just helps me to kind of just have a general idea of being on track. And once I have a daily QV goal, so for example, my daily QV goal right now is to do 500 QV a day in my central district. And if I do that for the next 6 months, then that will get me over 100 QV. Well, when that's your daily goal, you have to get into activity real fast. And through getting in the activity that you need to get in to get that QV, you're going to find and sponsor people. But the QV goal is actually not what I focus on, even though it's double December and it's the Christmas holiday season and all of that. Definitely, of course, sales are going to come when you're in activity, but my number one focus is finding new business builders that want to promote, because that is what takes the most amount of time. And the sooner that you can promote your managers, the better of a chance that you're going to have all of that QV go towards the central district QV that you need to earn the trip, but also the better chance they have to earn the trip too. We're in the beginning of December, so don't even think of just you being able to earn the trip, but think about how you could actually help someone else earn the trip. So I guess my first point is just actually write it out, get a daily QV goal. And that's actually what my Post-its are. They're for my central district daily QV goal. My goal is ideally to try to rip one of those stickies off a day or one every 2 days to do about 500 QV a day. I will say, because I have talked to some people on my team, and I know how it feels to kind of look at the 150,000 number and think, I don't know how I could achieve that if I look at the results that I have now. How could I just don't see it. And this is definitely something, just like going for a promotion, that you're not really going to see. You have to just commit to it. You can't just kind of hope and wish that it happens. You have to commit to it, and you have to work on it every single day. You won't stumble upon this goal. You are going to get it by intentionally working it, but you have to believe that you're going to earn it before you see any of the results. And then you have to make those results happen yourself. You have to treat that QV volume as if you were going to do it by yourself, but you're not, because by doing that, you're going to find a new team of leaders, which is the best part. And actually, if I look at my my new region, as Barb said, and that business now, I definitely built that by earning the past 2 AIT trips. When I started going for these AIT trips before, even as a district manager, I didn't have any district managers in my team. And by doing these the past 2 years, I now have a team of leaders. So that, I guess, was another point that I wanted to say. Be super intentional about finding leaders who want to promote to the next level. Just, and I shared some of these points too with our nation already, so this might be a repeat for some people, but like just having the intention of promoting out a manager is going to be a whole lot different sounding than if you don't have that intention. You're going to think of new people. You're going to have a different confidence. You're just going to have a completely different conversation when you're really intentional about that. So don't look at where you are now, but just know that you could sponsor someone tomorrow who promotes to RVP before May 30 or by May 31st. You have no idea. So you can't look at your current results to decide whether or not you think you could earn it. But you have to be intentional. And I truly believe by being intentional about the leaders that you're going to promote on your team is going to be how you're going to find those people. Number one, because of your energy, but number two, because again, the QV that you have to get in your central district, especially when you're looking at that daily goal. So I guess I'll just finish off by talking a little bit about my experience on the trip and why you need to earn it. You need to earn this trip for yourself, for sure, but you need to earn this for the person or the people that you're going to be bringing on the trip. I brought my husband to the trip that I was able to go on in February, and it completely changed everything for him. He went from being a supportive husband, but I mean, definitely rolling his eyes at me when I needed time in my business, and just not fully understanding all of the big vision of what I was working towards, to coming home from the trip and saying, okay, what do we need to do? What do you need to do next? What do I have to do? What can I do? It was completely different. And we got back the end of February, and then in April went into Region Qual. Number one, it was because I really had support now from someone who understood, didn't just hear about Arbonne from me, but actually got to be surrounded by people who were living that successful life because of Arbonne for 5 days and 5 nights. But then he also, he had that big vision, but then I also had the confidence. And that was because I was surrounded by those people for 5 days and 5 nights. When you're surrounded in a bubble with only successful Arbonne people for that period of time, you will be infused with belief, and you're going to come back totally different. You're also going to make friendships and relationships that are going to be priceless and are going to stay with you probably for a lot of your Arbonne career. And it's totally priceless. When I found out that we weren't going on the last trip, I was devastated, because of course Arbonne was great in compensating us, but that experience is completely priceless. And so you want to get your people there, your kids, your family, your whoever it is you're bringing, because they're going to support you in a whole new way, and you're really going to have that team working towards it instead of just kind of you on your own. It makes sense if they don't see that, and we have all this experience with Arbonne and all this training, that we have the vision and our people don't. But nothing will give vision like this trip. So I'll leave it at that, because I don't want to take too much time.
Katie,
Awesome,
thank
Katie.
you. Like, that was amazing. And I'm so inspired now. I want to go get on the phone. I love the idea of breaking it down into a daily number, because I think that sometimes when you look at the big monthly number, especially if you haven't been doing that or anything close to it, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. And then we start talking ourselves out of it before we've ever got ourselves into it. And I love the idea about being intentional about who you can introduce to this business for whom it might be a life-changing decision. because I can tell you every morning when I wake up, one of the first things I express gratitude for, and usually my eyes are still closed, is that this business is part of my life. And that somebody had the courage to not only ask, but to follow up when I said no, when I didn't return the calls. And so, yeah, so thank you. So I'm going to pass it over to Phoebe now, and she's going to introduce a couple of leaders on her team who have consistently been earning this trip as well. So Phoebe, over to you.
Thank you, and thank you, Katie. That was awesome. First of all, I'm excited to introduce Kelly Turner. Kelly is actually a fairly new regional vice president, and a year ago, she was just finished qualifying, I believe, as a district manager. So I want you to hear her story, because even 500 a day probably would have been scary to Kelly. But she, the wonderful thing is she's a perfect example of how you can grow momentum as you go. And so Kelly, let's unmute you. And then Dina, can you make her a host so she can share her screen?
I don't need to share it right this second, but I will in a minute, hopefully. If not, I can just read it, what I
No,
want.
I can do it. I'm just getting there. I'm just, I'll send your
Go
name.
ahead, Kelly.
Okay.
You can do it while you're talking.
Yeah,
Your
that's
name
fine.
just disappeared. That's what's weird is, I'm sorry, you guys, but it's not in the participants. The Kelly. I can't
share
make
it.
you a,
Let me see if I can find her.
it's so bizarre. It was there for a second and now it's gone.
Kelly, can you send the numbers to Phoebe or Dina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got her. Be the host, and then I'll try to make her one. I don't know what else
It's
to
so
do.
bizarre. She was there and I went to do it and then
Did you do a
Why
search?
don't we just roll on? Like she said, she can share the numbers without it.
Yeah, just let's see if we can. I apologize, you guys.
Have her go to so much work and not be able to share. That's too
Well,
It's
bad.
okay. It's okay. No big deal. It's just, yeah. So as Phoebe said, my name's Kelly Turner and I'm a regional vice president. She asked me to speak about, as you know, the AIT trip. So I started my Arbonne journey 9 years ago, but I didn't start like truly working my business until December of last year, as she said. So my story for earning the AIT trip is a little different than most, because 1 year ago, I was a district manager, which I can't even believe. It's been a whirlwind. But like if a fortune teller told me last year that my name would be on the list for the AIT trip, like Kelly Turner, I would probably tell them there must be another Kelly Turner in Arbonne, because there is no way in heck that I would have been making it. And it's sad that I thought that way. And it's crazy how 1 year later, I am the complete opposite, but that is the truth. And I love to speak the truth. So if anyone on this call is a district manager, an area manager, or even a consultant, you can do it. And here are some tips to show you how. So the first tip, like Katie was saying, is you definitely want to register, because you get double the points. And this is the reason why for me, I was a close call. You need 100,000, like Katie was saying, in your central district. And so in December 2019, I only had 3,600 QV. So 3,600, like that is crazy. And then January, I went to 6,000. February, it was 14,000. March, 24,000. And then April and May, I went up to 50,000. But I couldn't count all of the QV, only the central district QV. So I was just over the edge at 102,000. And I did not register in December to get the double volume. So if I wouldn't have hit it because of 2,000, like that would have just been crazy to me. So make sure that you register. If you're gonna make the decision that you are going for it, register. And even if you fall short, they're great gifts for level 1 or level 2 that you earn, obviously, with consistent effort and hard work. But this year we got the Arbonne tote and an Arbonne luggage bag. And I think next year's are like a bamboo tray and Arbonne containers. Like, you definitely want to do it. Even if you fall short, you will get some great gifts. So the second tip that I have, it's a funny story. After I earned the AIT trip and promoted to RVP, I read a book called The Miracle Equation, which I'm sure a bunch of you have read, by Hal Elroy. And now, as I was reading it, I was texting my sponsor, Jesse, saying, this is everything that I did. Like, I did this to get that AIT trip and to promote to RVP. And it was from December 2019 to May 2020. I had unwavering faith and I have had extraordinary effort. So 6 months of unwavering faith and extraordinary effort. I put my head down and my blinders on and I got to work. And the quote from the book that really spoke to me was, the purpose of a goal to actually reach the goal. The purpose of a goal is to become the type of person who can achieve any goal by always giving it everything you have, regardless of the results. So you're doing whatever you have to do, and it does not matter what you get at the end, you just do what you have to do. So this is how I explain it to people, especially people on my team, because I want to instill these lessons in them so that they can teach other people. So this is you down here, and this is your goal up here, right? So let's say you're giving it everything you have. You're in activity, you have energy and enthusiasm, you are in front of more people, you are handing out more samples, you're doing virtuals, you're doing everything there is. But guess what? You fall short. There's the goal, and here's you. But no matter what, you started here and now you're here. So you're better off missing that goal and at least going for it than being down here where you started at my 3,600 QV in last December, which is crazy. But I really like visuals, and that's kind of why I want to challenge you and encourage you guys to register in December and commit for 6 months. What happens? And if you hit it, then that's wonderful and you should be proud of yourself. But if for some reason you don't hit the goal, like I said, you are going to be so much better off than what you were. And I'm sure that next year you will definitely hit it. And just encourage your team the same thing. And I think that's why, because you can hear it in my voice and you can hear it in my heart, that I really did have the unwavering faith from the beginning that I believed I was going to do it. And that's what happened. My team kind of followed, and I definitely couldn't have done it without them. So encourage your team and obviously never give up. And I hope that helps get you where you're going.
That was awesome, Kelly. Thank you so much. And Atlantis is really worth it. I was trying to remember how many, I think I've been there 4 times. It is a favorite of Arbonne that they do at intervals, but now they didn't want any of you to miss out on it. So, you know, definitely get registered. You want those double points no matter what, just like Kelly said, great lesson. Okay, so the next person is Executive Regional Vice President, Jessie Kretzer-Graham. And Jessie actually has won and attended 12 out of 15 trips. She's been in Arbonne 15 years, and she's won and at the point of attending 12 times. So Jessie Kretzer-Graham.
Thank you. Thank you, Phoebe. So I don't see myself, but do you see me? And you can hear
Yes.
me? Okay, good. So actually it's good that I can't see myself. I prefer it that way.
Do you need to be made a host
Yes.
so you can share?
Yeah.
Can you do
I
that?
would be happy to do that. I had ready to click on her name, and now her name's disappeared. I don't know what's going on with Zoom tonight, you guys. I mean, this isn't my first rodeo, but your name just disappeared. It's not there. So
Well,
I can't
I'm
click
here.
on anything. It's the most
It's okay.
bizarre thing.
It's okay. I can post the pictures in the nation pages. But But I want to say it was so exciting to watch Kelly get excited about earning the trip. And that's the best. It really is when you see this trickle down into your leaders. And it wasn't an accident, and it wasn't magic that she earned the trip. You know what? She was focused on activity. She was focused on hitting her district manager bonus and sponsoring people, and then helping them get tracks to run on. And then she inspired them with her energy and her enthusiasm. That is the magic, truly. So as far as how to earn the trip, it really is about focusing on the goals that are in place with the compensation plan. If you're a consultant, earn your consultant bonus. If you're a district manager, regardless of what level you are, earn your bonus. And every day, ask someone to consider joining your team. So if you do those things, you'll be like Kelly and I, and you'll be earning the trips. So I want to kind of tell you about the experience of the trips, because I've been on 12 trips. And I just want to say for 1 second here that even though we didn't go to Atlantis, I get all confused, all the trips. Even though we didn't make it to Atlantis because of unforeseen circumstances, Arbonne was so generous to give us a $2,500 bonus along with our luggage and our weekender bag. So that's a pretty amazing company, let me just say. But the best things in life are not things. They are moments. And the trips with Arbonne, it's not your average vacation. And if anyone has been on one, feel free to say something in the chat to back me up on that. This is not your average vacation. Arbonne goes to great lengths to pick the best, biggest, most beautiful, most reputable resort or location, destination. They go to great lengths to select this trip. And then I believe they plan it, and they let that destination know that royalty will be arriving. Because when you arrive, the first thing you see is if someone else gets to the registration before you and they get their bag and they get their plush towels, you're just breaking your neck to find out which room you have to go to get your towels and your beach bag. And they're wonderful. I have a whole collection of them, and everyone in my family has an Arbonne towel. So they last forever. Some of the places that we've been over the years, Cancun, Moon Palace. If you Google best resort in Cancun, I'll bet you Moon Palace comes up. If you would Google what's the biggest, best, newest place that you want to stay when you go to Punta Cana, I'll bet you Hard Rock Cafe comes up. And one of my favorite stories is when I was in Puerto Rico at the El Conquistador Resort. It's built on a rock. And at night, it is lit up like a palace. And on one of the excursions, and that's one of my favorite things, the excursions. On one of the excursions, I was in a canoe at dark, going through, it felt like the jungle. And then we're seeing all these glow in the dark little fish there's a fancy name for these effervescent fish and things, but it's very natural that this happens. And then as you're in the canoe, there were some people in the canoe that were not part of Arbonne. And I heard as we pull out and we look at the El Conquistador Resort up on the hilltop, this gentleman says, "Whoa, what is that place?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's the El Conquistador." And it just made you feel like Arbonne took care of us. They really did. And then after we go through the little jungle area, you see the beautiful sky and the lighthouse. And I'm all about lighthouses and beaches and things like that. And you see this lighthouse just shining as bright as ever. And you find out that this is the oldest working lighthouse in Puerto Rico, where there's lots of lighthouses. And it's just, I mean, that I will never forget that moment. And you have moments like that everywhere. When I went to the Hard Rock Cafe, I was able to take my adult musician sons and to just have them experience the Arbonne culture up front and, you know, front and center like that, and see the leaders. It really warmed my heart. And there were lots of, you know, just to watch them just kind of relax and enjoy life and not be doing the day-to-day stressful things that we all, you know, we all have that, right? But to be able to give them that gift of 5 days, 5 nights to just let their hair down and relax and be spoiled. Last but not least, the people. I have a picture of National Vice President Lisa Barron from Australia, who I became friends with in Phoebe's room in GTC, at GTC one year. But to know that I was going to get to hang out with her every time we win the trips, that was so cool. So, you know, to be able to hang out with the other leaders. And I have a picture of myself with Stian. I mean, he already looks like a giant, but trust me, up beside me, he really looks like a giant. And I got to have dinner with Phoebe and Bear and just hang out at the pool with them. I got to hang out with the authors of the Flip Flop CEO book. You know, it's just a time to get dressed up, and it's a time to be very casual. The food, the entertainment, and the excursions, again, second to none. So it's really about the moments that you will make that will last a lifetime. That's what it's really about. And I already told you how to earn it. Set your intention, make your goal, hit every bonus, and go for every incentive and ask someone to consider joining your team every single day. And you can do that. So thank you. And I wish each one of you well, because you don't win it, you earn it.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you, Jessie. That was awesome. And our founder, Peter Mork, really believed in travel. He made it an important part of Arbonne because you raise your vibration. When you travel, there's a change in you, and you get to see the world, a part of the world that maybe you hadn't seen in the way that you're seeing it. And so, yes, go for it. You can do it. You've had some great examples tonight, and we are excited to be there with you. Right, girls? And guys, let's do it.
And I'm thinking about next October. I think everyone will really be ready to go on a great vacation. So make sure everyone's going to want to be on that AIT trip. Oh, so that was just an awesome evening, you guys. Thank you so much. I'm sorry about the slides and your names, they just disappeared, but you guys did a fantastic job. Thank you so much for sharing it. There's so much energy around our trips and how much they've changed the belief and what we believe is possible, I think, because of going on those amazing trips. So thank you so much, everyone. And make sure that you get your double points in December. You want as many points into your district, and there's so many great campaigns and in products and incentives this whole month that you're going to want to earn. Anything else you guys want to say as we close up?
I just wanted to say, if your business isn't absolutely where you want it to be, make sure you register for this trip and make it your intention to earn it. Because whether it's that you want to be a bonusing region or a bonusing area or get to region or whatever it is that you want to achieve that you're not quite there yet, earning these trips it's like the tide coming in. It will create a swell of excitement in your business. that can't be matched. So thank you guys all for lighting my fire tonight. I really appreciate it.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so
Good
much.
night.
Night.
Good night,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you.